So yeah, welcome. Yeah, I can see all of you on TikTok joining. Thank you so much. But then I'm not abandoning you like you claim most times. I'm not. So I'm just going to welcome the guys on YouTube. Then we'll get back to our TikToking bit later. Okay. Hello. Welcome, slow parenting family from across the globe. Thank you so much for indulging us and tolerating us for our being away for one whole week. Okay, we took a break without taking permission from you guys. It's to make the new season well as interesting as it could be or it could get to be. Okay. So we are apologizing in arrears in advance. Sorry. Okay. My name is Richie Adewusi. Still, this is the Slow Parenting Podcast, Nostalgia Media. It's still that same time every week. It is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US and Canada, and 7 p.m. West Africa time, including Nigeria. So welcome. This is season 9, episode 1. We are going to be looking at the issues around parenting and discipline for the whole of season 9. We are kicking off on something that you might find as exciting as it has been frustrating for you, depending on who you are, okay? Devices, okay? Whether you're talking about your phones or your laptops or your tablets or your iPads, yes, devices. So we are looking at addiction, device addiction, okay, in parenting, okay, generally. And today we have a video I found disturbing the first time I saw it, okay. You get to see the video. We're going to talk about it in some more details. Not our in-house production. We're talking about a video that's gone viral online about certain things that are happening to some devices. We'll talk about that when we come. And as always, I'm not alone. So to kick off this new season, all the way from Jos, northern Nigeria, let's hear it for Tony. Hello, Tony.
Welcome. Hello, everyone.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm look forward to talking less this particular episode. I want to hear from you guys about this whole thing, device addiction. Okay, I want to be nodding for most of the program today. Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Now I want to introduce a new member, a new family member on this program. Okay. She's going to be representing a brand new constituency. You know the people, right? Yeah, a brand new constituency on this program that we have been accused of neglecting, and it's only the mommies and daddies that are talking and telling them what to do, right? So we are glad to welcome Angela. Okay, I'm going to leave Angela to introduce herself to all of us, okay? You are going to be seeing her face more on this program than my own. I promise you that as time goes on. Okay, yes. All right, Angela, go ahead and let's hear it. Who is Angela?
Okay, hello everyone. Good evening or good afternoon, whatever part of the world you may be in. So as Mr. Richie already said, my name is Angela. I've been in the communication space for over a decade. I did venture into a bit of advocacy and activism sometime during the course of my career. And of course, it had to do with empowering women, and of course, also being a voice for vulnerable individuals in our society. And of course, when we talk about vulnerability, we always talk about women and we always talk about children. So thankfully, I've done a bit of work there. So I think that has equipped me to a certain degree to lend my voice to this particular topic, and I am glad to be welcomed to the family. This is my first time. And when Mr. Richie reached out, I was like, of course, this is my passion area, so I would love to lend my voice to this. I don't want to talk too much about myself. Hopefully, during the course of the series, we'll learn much more about me. However, I'm glad to be here, and thank you so much for having me on board.
Welcome, Angela. Thank you so very much. Angela is joining us from the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria in Abuja. Okay, so yeah, we are looking at issues of discipline and parenting generally, but today we're going to be taking it one step at a time because there are a whole lot of issue areas. It's our belief at the Universal Parenting Institute that parental deficiency, if you like, what we have called parental gaps, central to a whole lot of the issues that show up in the larger society eventually, okay? There are things that we try to gloss over, blame this person, blame that person. It's a known fact that individuals cannot give what they do not have, okay? So if you, maybe due to no fault of yours, as you were growing up, you grew up in an environment where they gave you everything that you needed and the ones that you really didn't need, okay? So you've grown up pampered and indulged and denied whichever side of the coin you fall in. And then eventually you end up out there in the general society in charge of one thing or the other, believing that the whole world is your enemy, okay? So you must show the world that finally now you have freedom and you can show them. It starts from small things, really. It starts from small things. And we're going to talk about one of those small things today. Incidentally, technology is not a bad thing. Whether the concept or design or production or usage, nothing is bad. It depends on what we apply technology for. People who shout AI is bad, is going to make human beings redundant, take over all the jobs of the human beings and all of that. No part of technology is bad. It depends on how they're employed or used by individuals and the regulatory bodies that, of course, are there to regulate everything, to be sure that everybody is safe. Okay. Now, the same thing in the homes. Parents are the first set of government. We say that in this program. Parents are the first set of government any of us knew as we are growing up, from babies to toddlers to, preteens to teenagers. Parents are our first government. So parents are in positions to regulate what we do. But on this program, in our programming in the Universal Parenting Institute, we always advocate for regulations to be mutually agreed on, okay? Meaning, get into agreement with your children to set boundaries, agree on boundaries mutually, and then set consequences and rewards for, keeping to the boundaries or breaking the boundaries. That way, no one, will feel maybe is being exploited or hated, or one person is loved more than the other person. Before we get to talk about addiction in itself, first of all, well, Angela, in general terms, devices or now, how can we define addiction generally to anything?
Well, I would say in simple terms, anything that you've developed a dependency on, something that you have just grown to a point in your existence that you cannot simply do without. And I think it's safe to say that's where we are, unfortunately, with the discussion on gadgets. I mean, even as an adult, I know how I struggle.
You see why you are on this program because you represent that constituency, the one we're talking about now. It's heavy. That definition is spot on and heavy. Thank you. Okay. And that's everything. Whether you're talking drugs, whether you're talking whatever kind of habits, okay, you've gotten to be like, oh, without this and I'll die. You're not going to die, and we will show you that, and we tell you parents that nobody is dying, nobody died. Some time ago I lost my phone. I forgot my phone in the metro. When I realized that I had forgotten the phone it wasn't that it dropped, okay, somehow. When I reached out to get it, I'm not talking about a baby now. I'm not talking about a preteen or a teenager. I'm talking me. It was like my whole life, some plug has been pulled. My life.
There's this emptiness all of a sudden.
Emptiness. I'm like, oh, what? It's not the device. It's not the cost of the device. It's just, yeah. So all of us, one way or the other. And the question now came, how did anybody survive without devices? Before devices got invented, how did humans survive? Until, unfortunately, where I live, there are places where lost but found items are, kind of deposited. I look for someone and say, please, can I use your phone for a moment? Okay, yeah, go ahead. Could you call this number for me? Called it, and somebody picked it up. Oh, please, where are you speaking from? Okay, somebody found this phone and brought it to XYZ station. If you can come there with proof that is your own. My life source returned. You understand? It's like I was given a shot of something that revived me again, And that's one side of that issue of dependence. But how does this get started? How do young people get devices? I will share another story. Then I would ask Tony. Angela has given us a perspective of the now army. Yeah. So we'll hear from Tony, the brigade commanders, the field marshals, the parents, about how this all pans out. Before I get to ask Tony, I will share another story. I think it was last year. My first granddaughter, it was her birthday. Was it last year or year before last? And we were talking, and I said, Aderonke, what do you want for your birthday? And she said she wanted a laptop. I said, fine. The mother who is my daughter was listening. I said, okay, tell your mommy and your daddy to send me a letter of consent, okay, that they are permitting you to own a laptop and that they are going to supervise how you use the laptop. The mother got angry. Hello, the mother, my daughter. Why would she need to be writing a letter to say, so I brought this up. She'd probably be embarrassed to hear me, share this on it. But, that's how, but even herself, looking back at their own growing up, they needed consent to get some things, which she had quickly forgotten. Okay, maybe, and all of that. So how do young people get devices in the first place? before we are talking about addiction, Tony?
I think parents get them devices. Sometimes I see people in church, the child is disturbing the parents, and then the next thing is you just hand over a device to the child so that you can be able to focus on what you're doing in church. Even at home, the child is cranky and you just want to shut the child up, you give a device to the child. So it begins with the parents giving permission to the children to use the device in order to pacify them. And gradually it will now become an addiction for those children. When they want to throw tantrums, the parent will just hand over the device.
Wow. So the device in exchange for your time as parent and attention as parent, right? Angela, does that speak to anything you can recall?
It does a great deal because I'm not a parent yet, but I'm looking at this playing out with my younger cousins. And it's something, funnily, I find myself complaining about. I'm like, why are you giving them the gadgets to distract them or substitute for your time and attention? Because I think I grew up in a time where I just understand the importance of being present in the moment. And now you are giving a child, something to distract them just so you don't have to give them the attention that they require. I was always able to talk to my parents when I needed to talk to them. I remember the first time I even got a phone was because in case there's an emergency, you need to reach us or we need to reach you, you have this phone. I knew the rules. I couldn't use my phone past the hour of 10 p.m. unless it was an emergency. I knew I couldn't be on my phone for any reason early hours of the morning or when I needed to be in school or when I had something more important to attend to. So there were certain hours where I was given access to the phone. And then we didn't have these gadgets that had games or you could watch movies, stream or whatever on them. So, it was a different time. It was a simpler time.
Sorry to cut in, Angela. When you say then, when was then? Could you tell me which year then was?
Oh, a few years ago, we're the first generation that was using the Motorola's and the Nokias that didn't have the large color screens.
Okay.
Even to get ringtones, remember we had to go to the cyber cafe and would type out letters to save the ringtone on the on the phone. But now I can just simply download a song or I can just record a song and it'll play exactly as the artist recorded it. So that was a different time. We're millennials, so we're the early generation that kind of came into the whole thing of okay, now social media, we have these smart gadgets, we can stream and all these other things that we can do with social media today. So I'm that in between, I'm that bridge really.
No,
between
that's why I'm asking you. Oh, certainly, that's why you're here. Don't worry. This whole gig gets more interesting by the day, That's why you're here. Now, okay, let me ask you another question. Tony seems to have some technical issues. We lost her. She probably could be back. Yeah. Let me ask you this question now. Is it necessary for children and young people to have gadgets?
The time we're living in now, yes. However, just like I pointed out, it now boils down to what exactly it is that you're using the gadget for. Like I'm an adult now. I have to do a lot of work stuff sometimes on my gadgets. If I'm not able to be in the office and something is required of me, I can quickly hash it out on my phone and send it in via email, via text, WhatsApp, or whatever else. When I'm talking about a younger person now, I'm asking myself, what more could they possibly need a device for other than to stay in touch with their parents? Because like I brought up earlier on, in the event of an emergency and you need to reach your parents or your parents need to know where you are, that's the reason why I would say, okay, yes, a child should have a smartphone.
Okay,
but I'm also realizing a lot of...
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. I'm also seeing and appreciating the fact that a lot of younger parents are realizing it might not be a good idea to give, children so much access when they have these phones, these gadgets. So they're setting parental controls, and of course, they're also making sure that it's only within a certain number of hours that you're able to access the gadget. And then you also have the parents who are just very loose about it, like, okay, just do your thing. I'm busy anyway. let this keep your attention for as long as, you know, it need be. I'm busy with work, or I need to go out and sort out something else and all of that. So it's really dicey, really. But I would say yes, and I would also say no. And on the other hand, if I'm being honest.
Okay, Tony, is it okay to give children and young people gadgets? Or maybe let me put this in a different way. At what age do you think parents or guardians would consider, and for what reasons would they consider getting, not the example that Angela gave earlier on, you take your own and say, just take, so you leave me alone. I mean, getting children and young people to actually have their own gadgets, either mobile phones or tablets or iPads. What reason, what age?
I think when a child is, grown enough to know how to use the phones. But with what is going on in the world right now, even from the schools, from the nursery schools, they advocate for children to have tablets. They give them assignments online. So even if you say you don't want them to have access to phones, the schools are already introducing them to these gadgets. But the parents are just to make sure that they have communication with their children, to set boundaries as to, okay, you are using it for your schoolwork. This is the amount of hours you can use on the phone. And you'll be able to communicate properly to the children, to show to them the bad part of not using social media for social good, not using the mobile phones the right way. If you are able to communicate this to your children, they'll be able to refrain from exceeding the time they're supposed to use the phone. So if you say until you are a teenager before you have a phone, and then they give assignment to the children in school for them to go search for something on the internet, then there will be conflicting interests from the school and the parents.
Thank you, Tony. Somehow you have technically introduced episode 2, of this particular series, because episode 2 is going to be about, the whole issue of educational use of devices. Okay. Yes. We're going to put a little bit of meat to this discussion now. We're going to play back a video. Okay. Sorry, guys, on TikTok, as always, you won't be able to see the video unless you, go to the YouTube channel. So you'll be able to see it there. Okay. Yeah. We're going to just play a video clip. I will, for the benefit of our followers on TikTok, I will just say what the video is about. It's a school with the students gathered on one side. I mean, from my experience of when I went to school, it must be at the assembly, okay? Maybe morning resumption or closing. It has to be resumption. It can't be closing, okay? And then the school authorities had seized mobile phones from students who brought such phones to school. And they proceeded to, break the devices. I won't say what my opinion about that is, because I'm not the only one on the program. I would rather speak last, okay? When Tony and Angela must have made their own positions and perspectives known. Yeah, and we'll play that video now. So we just take a quick look at it, and then we will return. It's not a long video, okay?
Dear parents, if you have ever taken a
would be your reaction to that video?
When I saw the video, I was divided in thoughts. The first thing that came to my mind was that peradventure the school has warned severally that the students shouldn't come to school with their devices. And then they blatantly refuse to heed to the, to the rules of the school. And so they were able to seize those phones. But in the other way around, I'm looking at, yes, you have seized this phone. Why go ahead to destroy it? Why don't you return it to their parents? Why don't you, because that is destroying a lot of money. It's not one, it's not two, it's not 20, it's almost like 50 phones. They should have returned those phones maybe to their parents. That's my opinion.
Okay, Tony. Angela?
So I'm thinking this is a bit extreme.
Okay.
Not a bit, a lot extreme, to be honest.
Okay. Let's get at it. I was like, okay, all right, I'm listening. Go ahead.
A lot extreme, to be honest. Because just like you started off by saying, we're not completely ruling out that these devices should not be in the possession of children at all. They serve a purpose. There are advantages to children having these devices in their possession. However, there are also disadvantages. There was something that Madam Toyin mentioned, and I thought it was pretty salient, and I was hoping she would go a little bit further to highlight what exactly she was trying to buttress with that point. But what I took out from it is the fact that parents are not communicating effectively with their children so that they understand what happens on social media when your parent is not by your side, or when you decide to venture into websites that are not meant for your age grade. Because if we are bringing in the angle of these devices are used for educational purposes and whatnot, of course they are. However, if there are no controls, if there are no parental controls set on these devices, then children will eventually find their way onto sites that they have no business being on. I remember one of the first times I saw one of my younger cousins on Instagram, instantly I called her mother up and I asked her, are you aware that your child is on Instagram? And what she would stand to be exposed to being on this site, because she was below the age of 18. And I didn't feel like it was a space that was safe enough for her to be on alone. And her mom just goes, oh, it's not a problem. You know, I'm monitoring what she's posting. I said, it's not about what she's posting. It's also about what she's consuming. So like I was trying to point out earlier on with my own parents growing up and having a phone and whatnot, they knew every single contact that was on that phone. So it wasn't just their contacts that were on the phone. I had the contacts of my uncles, my aunties, and maybe a few friends from school, but they knew what was happening on that phone. The same way they are privy to what I watch on television or what I may be streaming, you know, when they eventually bought me a tab. How many parents are actually following up to know what exactly it is their children are being exposed to when they're alone with those tablets? You must not do it while the child is there. Sometimes when you come home from work and your child has said, okay, I used the device to do my homework and all of that. My teacher asked us to look up some books or to check out some sites and whatever else. In your alone time, before you go to bed, let me take a look at everything that my child was looking at throughout the course of the day. Like, take a look at the history.
Are you serious right now about that? There's something called privacy, Do you have those kind of children? Do you know those kind of cousins? And
so while I agree that yes, there should be some semblance of privacy, not too much. And I'm saying this for a reason. I'm pretty sure we've heard of incidents or stories where children were exposed to AI bots online, and unfortunately, these children ended up ending their lives because of something that the bot happened to tell them online. Now, would you say it was wise that that parent wasn't looking into what the child was looking at online?
No. Okay, Angela. I said that not to
go back and be a little old-fashioned about this parent.
No, you're not old-fashioned. Look, Angela, I just wanted you to represent your constituency very well, because it's your constituency that I normally say, yes, my right. You are invading my privacy. So continue. Go ahead.
Yes, I was very much one of those kids that when I thought my parents were encroaching, I would say, you're invading my privacy. I don't like it. I don't like this.
Now you are talking.
However, now that I'm older, I understand it 1,000%.
All right. Okay.
I am not.
So
I
Tony,
tell them
Tony
things
would understand it 1,000,000% if you understand it 1,000%. Okay, so it has to do with age and parenthood, right?
Precisely.
Exactly.
So there is a thing such as you know, not allowing too much privacy now take over you being a parent.
Too much of anything.
Exactly. No, I love the fact that I am friendly with my parents, but I still realize they're my parents, they're not my friends. They're still supposed to provide guidance. So, you know, as children, yes, we'll have those streaks of rebellion. We'll have those streaks where, you know, we are asking for more control and independence over our lives because we feel like we're ready for it. But the truth is that you're not. So like I said, now that I'm older, I understand these things so much.
Are you really sure? Leave me. You have had your own experience. Let me have my own experience too. You grew. Really? Okay, thank you, Angela. All right, thank you, Angela, for setting that tone. Now, we're still talking about that video, okay?
Yes.
The first time that video was sent to me, by the way, by a parent. I was upset. My first reaction was, you know, I was upset. I was angry. Sorry, but that's true. Because so many things are represented in that action. It's barbaric to start with. Okay? And to make it worse, you filmed it and you put it online. Okay?
Online.
First, you've just shown that you don't have control. You don't have regulations. Okay? Even if you had agreed or ordered, as it were, they won't discuss it. They will order. We always say, agree on boundaries, set boundaries, agree on consequences. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the issue of the use of devices, even if that school were not to be using devices to do school work. Some parents, you know, monitor the movement of their children. I mean, legitimately about are you home? Okay, especially in certain places, especially like Nigeria now, with all the kidnappings and all of that going on. You know, I'm not in support of young people and children breaking rules, but I'm saying, what if some of those children, it is because their parents, so what effort did the school make in reaching the parents with the devices? Then we now come to the economic aspect of that act in itself. Those devices cost money to parents. Okay. So the least you could do was to return such to the parents and institute fines and, you know, other means of reprimand to any other. You could even say you are not releasing the phones till the end of the term if you keep doing this. Destroying them, no. If I were a parent of a child in that school, I would sue the school. Because first, you're showing the children violence. You're showing, you know, there's so many things that video represents, and most of it not good. None of it good. Okay? None of it good. Now, for the young people themselves, look, no child likes to lose his or her pocket money to start with. Okay, let's start it from there. Oh, see, they have returned this phone again. We agreed you should not take it to school. But mom, I use it to tell you when I leave in school. No, the school says no. Or when you get to the school, they've come to talk to you as a parent. You go to the school. Okay? My child comes to school. Can we have a safe place or a staff that they can deposit that she or he could deposit the device with as she arrives in school and collect it back from when the school closes, so that it could, at least I know that she's in school. She sent me a text, I've arrived in school. He sent me a text, I've arrived in school. So that when he collected, I have collected my device, I'm on my way home. Okay? I'm just saying, in case, I'm not saying that all of those devices being broken is for parents monitoring. We understand that, but we cannot and must not be applying one size fits all in disciplinary measures, okay, and processes. We should not. That's not a good way to teach young people how to, behave themselves. You are teaching them a different kind of behavior. That force, destruction is an acceptable means of, if you like, control. Okay, so it would mean that the relationship between the parents and the school in that particular school doesn't exist. Okay, and I wouldn't send my child to such a school to start with. Okay, now, but then we are talking about addiction. Okay, let's not forget that that's what this episode is about. All we have done is to get into the general background of what are devices, why do children use devices, what could happen as a, let's say outside of that school environment, outside in the home, your child you don't exist. If anybody has really lived around a child that, well, is addicted to the device, nothing else matters. Absolutely nothing else. They won't know whether you exist in the home or wherever, whether in church or whatever. Just have it. Every other person can, but it has its consequences. Okay, about in one of my counseling classes or sessions here, a young mother, set up the baby's room. Okay, the session, incidentally, on this particular session, she sat in her baby's room and was listening to me, and I saw a large television screen in the baby's room. The baby is sleeping, but then cartoon was playing and singing, and like, how is this child going to develop normally? It's not possible. It's not possible. The child is sleeping, and you think that, and science has proven that, and well, that's our beat for next, episode. And I'm like, yeah, it's not everything you have money to buy and give to your children that you should buy and give them. Okay? If you do buy and give them because they need for assignments, even for leisure, agree on use, set boundaries, agree on consequences for, breaking those boundaries, and enforce the consequences. Okay? So we have produced, I don't think many parents need a long lecture about what addiction to devices. I'm sure a parent, that saw the flyer online just didn't say anything. He just sent a flood of laughing emojis because he probably would have remembered what battle she must have been going through, maybe with her own, and say, look, you guys, you are onto something today. So we have, every episode, we always produce an in-house video to let you have some practical steps you could, apply to addressing the issue. So please watch the video. When we return, community members have sent in a whole lot of comments and questions, and suggestions here. So when we return from watching the video, we'll take the questions. Please don't go away.
Dear
Hi, guys.
parents, if you have ever taken a phone or tablet from your children or young people and watched them completely fall apart, cry, rage, shut down, or turn cold, what you witnessed was withdrawal, and that should concern every parent deeply. Device addiction in children and young people is one of the most widespread and least confronted parenting crises of our time. It is happening in homes across every culture, every income level, and every family structure. Most parents who struggle to get ahead of it are struggling because they were never equipped with the right tools to address something this specific, this powerful, this pervasive, and this new and global. If this is your family right now, watch this video till the end and subscribe to the #SlowParenting podcast. There are lots more coming that you need to know about. Here are 5 practical starting points every parent needs to curb device addiction in their homes. 1. Agree on non-negotiable device-free zones. Before you can regulate your children and young people's relationships with devices, you need physical boundaries in your home. Meals, bedrooms, and family time need to become spaces where no screen competes for attention, as a standard of family life. Place a physical charging station outside all bedrooms and make it the only place devices are charged overnight, removing the temptation entirely from sleeping spaces. 2. Replace the devices with something intentional. A young person whose device is taken without an alternative will always find a way back to it. Intentional replacement with activities that meet the same emotional needs the device was meeting is where the real work begins. Keep a rotating activity basket in the living room stocked with options your children and young people have personally chosen, so there is always something available the moment a device is put down. 3. Understand what the device is giving your children and young people. Connection, escape, stimulation, validation. Devices fill gaps. Until you identify which gap your children and young people's screen time is filling, every restriction you set will feel like a battle you are losing. Keep a simple observation journal for 2 weeks noting the times, moods, and situations in which your children and young people reach for their devices. Patterns will emerge that tell you exactly what need is being met. 4. Model the behavior you are demanding. Children and young people watch what their parents do far more than they listen to what their parents say. If devices are ruling your own time and attention, your children and young people already know your boundaries are not serious. When your children and young people speak to you, put your devices face down and give full attention every time, building a pattern they will notice, internalize, and eventually mirror. 5. Build structure before you build rules. Rules without structure collapse. A daily rhythm that includes purpose, movement, conversation, and rest is the environment in which healthy device habits can actually take root. Anchor screen time to something that has already been completed, such as homework, chores, or physical activity, so devices become a reward within a structure rather than a default activity. This is just the beginning of this conversation. We go much deeper into this topic on this week's livestream. If your family is in this battle right now, this Wednesday's livestream is exactly where you need to be. Thank you for watching. If this video is helpful, please like, share, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Kindly share with other parents who are navigating this, and stay connected with the #SlowParenting podcast community. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode in this series.
So thank you for watching the video. We are back here on YouTube. And Toyin.
Yeah.
A child having a phone is never a good idea. I believe they should be given books instead. This is from a community member, not me. Yeah.
Yes, just like I said before, there are advantages in using the phones and there are disadvantages. While we were growing up, we didn't have all these devices. We had to study, we had to read at least a book every week. So, but life has changed. We are now in, is it Gen Z, or we have passed the Gen Z age, where technology is the most important
No, sorry,
thing
you are
for
in the Gen. You are talking about the Gen thing. I just wonder which one they will.
Alpha generation or something.
Z is the last alphabet in the last letter in the alphabet. So which one is following? Go ahead, please. Gen Z.
Alpha okay. Or something. So for you to be restricting a child from using the phone and saying it's only a book, there's going to be a problem. I think the most important thing that parents should do is have good communication with their children. They should become intentional about sitting down with their children and discussing the disadvantages of excessive use of device and the useful part of it. And you must model it. If you are telling your child not to use phones and you are 24/7 on your phone, it's what they see you do that they are going to emulate. So you cannot restrict a child from using a phone. But if you communicate the dangers of getting addicted to the phone to the child, the pro and the con, and you make sure that the child have an understanding. I think if they are supposed to use the phone for 1 hour in a day, it's not too bad, and they still study their book. But if they don't understand the reason why you are trying to take the devices away from them, there's going to be a big problem down the road. So addressing this is very important. Communication is key to making sure that they understand what you are trying to tell them.
Okay, Angela, I like to, I always like to use myself as an example of stuff, especially when it comes to parenting issues. I'm an author. I write, right? So, well, I'm a media practitioner, I write my last 4 books I have written completely from my phone. Okay? Completely on my phone, not laptop, not tablet, on my phone. Now, if you were now that parent like me, and your daughter, Ikotoyi said, if you are 24/7 on your phone, they would copy. We have agreed that your children want to be you. Okay? They don't care about that phantom person model, that you are their role models, first and foremost. So if you are like me now, you now have that son that says, like my son, he's very much in that mood. Dad, yes. You said they should not give me my phone. But I've been watching for the past 1 week. Go ahead. Yes. I was trying to say that for the past 1 week, you have been, whenever I come into your study, you're on your phone. You're in the living room, you're on your phone. So what's going to be your response, Adela? If you are like me, you are writing a book on your phone. And of course, when you're writing, if you are like me, when I'm writing, I write anywhere. I block out anybody, anything happening around me, and I'm writing, So if you're like me, and you have such a son who says, okay, got you, they took my phone, but your own is with you. Now, what would be your response? We're trying to define addiction and non-addiction now.
So the truth is that I think we can all agree that children are very crafty. Because this example that you just cited now is just a prime example of the fact that the world has evolved. Technology has forced us all to evolve. So in the past, it would be simple to just get a pen and paper and write down whatever thoughts that you might have. But now you have your phone in front of you. You can just quickly type out whatever it is that you're thinking, and it's there. It's saved somewhere. And we also know that children don't do as you say. They do as you do. So essentially, he's actually just trying to back you into a corner now.
Yes.
By saying, "Oh, I'm watching you. You've been on the phone for this number of hours," and that. So I just want to highlight quickly that we're not trying to say that children developing this dependence on their devices is some kind of parental failure. However, it just helps us realize that there is now a modern parenting gap. And that gap now exists because of technology. And our parents were not raised. Many of our parents, I'm talking about myself now and my generation, we're not raised in this age of technology. it's something that they're also, kind of adjusting to and whatnot. And even the children as well, they're born into this thing. So this is all they know and understand. So if you're telling them to put down the tablet, put down the smartphone, put away the laptop and go and read a hardcover book, you're asking them to adjust to something that they're not used to. So there has to be an adjustment on all sides. But the most important thing that we've highlighted here today is the angle of communication, which is very, very key. And with communication, you're able to set certain boundaries. With communication, you're able to help them acknowledge the fact that there will be consequences if you step out of line regarding your over-reliance on these gadgets. I'm a strong believer in effective communication. You're not just talking. I'm in the communication space after all, so I know and understand the importance of it. It's not just talking. It's knowing that the message that you're trying to pass is actually well and fully understood. In Africa, for example, it's something I still find concerning that parents don't actually spell the good, the bad, and the ugly of certain scenarios or certain situations. You cannot just tell a child, don't spend too much time on a gadget. It's not good for you. You haven't communicated anything to that child, unfortunately.
Okay.
You need to help them
parent, sorry, Angela. That parent doesn't have somebody like my son. Huh?
Exactly. He doesn't have someone like yourself.
No, he doesn't have somebody like my son. Because again, by the time you are actually explaining one thing, he has other three. Tony just sent a message here. Tony said, he knows you are an author. He will also tell you, I'm an artist. I'm drawing with the phone. You understand?
Exactly.
It comes down to what you're saying.
So
sorry, Angela. It comes down to what you're saying. You have to engage them. Have that dialogue. Have that conversation. Look at, just like you said, the good, the bad, the ugly part of this. And then put a seal over everything with an agreement. Boundary.
Precisely.
Agree. Don't order. Don't dictate. They will swallow your dictation up to a point, beyond which, after all, you grew up. Leave me alone to grow on my own. And then you will get angry. Oh, you are talking back at me? I own this house. Maybe if you have a son like my own, he will remind you that this is his father's house, that you should go to your own father's house. And you begin to now wonder whether you are the one that is not okay, or if somebody else is not okay. Because the child would have told you something very pertinent. This is my father's house. True or false? Yes. Go to your own father's house. Really? Yeah. So the way they reason, but if you sit down and let them see what benefits and, well, if you like, demerits in spending so much time. First, you have to access to know the legitimacy of that claim. Okay, I also do my own drawings on my phone. If it is true, have some shared time during those periods of his drawing. You understand? To legitimize it, but set boundaries. You cannot draw 24/7. Okay? You cannot be drawing on the dining during meal times. Okay? One of the strategies that I really, when I thought of it and had to put it in the video, that really resonates with, is this whole issue of have a common charging point for your devices in the home overnight. So everybody goes to, deposit their devices, including you, the parents, including you, the parents. Look, as my children were growing up, okay, it was an agreement for there not to be television screens in any bedroom, including our own bedroom. Okay? If you wanted to watch television, go to the living room. Of course, that means that there's a limited time that there will be lights out, so you don't have anywhere to hide. But if you put television sets in bedrooms, no matter how much of a superman or a superwoman you are, you will fall asleep. They are not sleeping.
Yeah.
Then you suddenly wonder why Junior is absent-minded, doesn't have energy the following day, is not able to concentrate on things. He's not sleeping.
Always.
He's not sleeping. He's watching cartoon, and these things, that's the addiction. The addiction is not the device. The addiction is what they can access through the device or devices. Okay? So let's quickly go to the second one. So, can a parent successfully reverse device addiction without removing the device completely? Or is it total removal, or is total removal sometimes necessary? Okay? Troy, please. Is the question understood?
Yes, it has to be gradual. You can't just yank it off their hands. You have to have something to replace the addiction with. Because a lot of time, if you look at it deeply, children that are extremely addicted to devices, there's something else going on the inside or the backflip of why they're addicted. You see that they are disconnected from you. There is no connection between you and them. They are not hearing you, you are not hearing them. Either they are going through some stress, they are being bullied in school, they have low self-esteem, there is social media pressure, there is loneliness, there's anxiety. You have to know what is going on with them before you can address the reason why they became addicted to the phone. So yanking it off them without addressing the root of the matter cannot work. It will not solve the problem. Children need, more connection than correction. They want to connect with you. They don't want you to continually correct them, yanking phones from them. Talk with them. You can't yank it off their hands without you understanding the reason behind the addiction.
Okay. In the first place, who gave them the phone in the first place? Is you.
Exactly.
So the place to control use is from that moment you decide that it is time for your child to have a mobile device. Okay? That's the time to have that agreement and sign it. Don't make any, sign it. Let there be a document. Because when that argument comes up, you call up that document. Do you recognize this? Yes, Daddy. What does he say when he says, I won't get my pocket money? Always attach something. There should always be a consequence so that there's no wickedness. There's no, my father is too wicked, my mother is too wicked. No. Agree on boundaries. We're saying that. So, Angela, how should parents respond in a moment when a child is having full emotional breakdown after device retrieval or removal?
I think
I know you are
first
not
and
a parent yet,
foremost,
but then you have experienced, you have seen, you told us about your cousins earlier. So
yes, and this question in particular is greatly tied to the psychology of the child now. What they've already gotten used to, the over-reliance that now they're fully dependent on. And it's a pretty complex question to address, but first and foremost, I would start by trying to understand why they are so attached to the device in the first place. Just like Madam Toyin was pointing out, there's usually something else there when that dependency has been created. And it begs the question, are the emotional needs of this child being met in the home? And that's from both mother and father. Or is there some kind of abuse or traumatic experience, that has taken place and they're unable to communicate, so they would rather distract themselves? Or are they going through some kind of stressful situation, maybe school, or maybe the loss of a family member, hypothetically speaking? There are a host of things really that can get a child to that point where they're so heavily dependent on screen time. And a parent's first job is to start by trying to understand why exactly the child feels the way they do. And like I talk about communication, I think it's very important to also take note of the fact that it's also a discipline issue. So are you doing your part as a parent to instill discipline when a child is acting out or stepping out of line? But like I said, from my own limited understanding of of this subject matter, I don't want to speak like a professional psychologist and whatnot. But yes, first is to start by trying to understand whether you're meeting the emotional needs of your child, so you know how to address this over-reliance going forward.
Okay. Tony says some children get attached because they are lonely or bored, which is true. Okay. Now, to this question, we go back to the issue of setting boundaries. Okay. Look, setting boundaries over family we've been having do's and don'ts around family issues, around relationship issues in the family. Saves everybody a whole lot of stress. Okay? A child that already knows there's a rule, an agreement, let's not call it a rule because it's something you agreed to, that I should not spend X more than XYZ amount over certain periods of time on device, will not throw tantrums. So that comes to the discipline issue. That's why this is a discipline issue. I agree with you, Angela. Okay. You know, most times parents are reacting. Parents should be proactive. Setting boundaries is proactive. Okay. This is your phone. Remember, I'm giving it to you. It's your birthday present. It's nice to be able to give your children things, and all of that. That's the point at which
both teams will go toe-to-toe. I'm looking at Luis Diaz.
Reach those agreements. Have them written. Let him or her sign. Remember, I said at the top of this meeting, of this program, that my first granddaughter, you want a laptop, okay, let your parents send consent letter that they're agreeing for you to own a laptop and they are so going to. It wasn't the young woman that got angry. It was the mother. Okay. Now, having agreement, having boundaries would first remove that issue of, oh, I'm angry now, you're taking it, because you know it's going to be taken should you use it in certain ways. So parents, take note. Observe boundaries. Have been an issue. Don't move the goalpost after the penalty incident would have happened. Okay? Don't plan on doing that. Don't just give your children things and say, because, again, don't copy the Joneses. Follow after your family tradition, culture, family values. Okay? Tony said the goal is to help them develop self-control and healthy digital habits. Yes, I agree. But all of those would come at the point at which, if you are preaching this gospel without certain boundaries have been issued, they will tell you are infringing on their rights. That they have set their own goals. That there are certain things they are pursuing with the phone, which of course you don't have. Look, no matter how much all of us use phones, you have encrypted content on your phone, right? That even if I hand you my phone, there are still some portions of the phone that you are not able to access. Unfortunately, your children are smarter than you in those areas. You are still old school. They can manipulate devices in the way that will frighten you. That you've not even you can't even conceive of.
You won't even know what's happening.
You don't even know what's happening. So it's best to agree on things first. If you have started, Angela kept talking about communication, yes. we started this whole series is parent-child communication. All of this series is everything is communication. If you started by having healthy two-way communication relationship with your children, they will not hide anything from you. As a matter of fact, you will have nothing to monitor. Okay?
Very true.
Look, there are families where the children will go to visit other families and the other children are watching something on TV, maybe that suggests nudity or violence. They say no, they walk away from where those other children are. And the parents will say, why are you not with your cousins? Say, mommy, no, what they're watching, I can't watch that. What? Yes, because you have gotten them to understand values. Ab initio. So if you didn't teach values, if you didn't set boundaries, when they now, like Tony said earlier, are bored, okay, are lonely, thank God you have money to buy them devices. And there are so many sites online to cure, including the ones that will make them suicidal, just like Angela mentioned earlier. Okay, so let's take the last question here because our time is, because again, like you said, this particular topic is in two parts, okay? There are some questions here that are related to that second part. So we'll keep them, sorry. When we get to next week, next episode, we will bring back those questions. I believe letting your children borrow your phone instead of buying phones from them really help curb addiction. True or false, Tony?
You know, some parents might have bad stuff on their phones.
First of all, true or false? True or false, then you can explain.
Yes, it's 50-50.
Okay, go ahead.
It's 50-50. They can, you know, like you said, the children are so smart. They can even borrow your phone to use and still do all those bad stuff and clean it up before returning it to you. So
wow,
they can use your phone.
That's a wonderful one.
They will use your phone and clear the history, and you don't know what they've done. They will leave, they will now go back and do good things and then return your phone to you. By the time you go back to history, you are only seeing them looking for meaningful things online while they have already used your phone to do other things that are not good. So the best thing is to have a good understanding with your children. Let them know the reason why you are trying to put that restriction there. And in the first place, don't start them off with phones because they have adverse consequences. Especially, I see children in church as small as 1 year, 2 years. They're on the phone. It affects the eyes. Parents are not looking at all those things. They are just looking at how to shut the children up. You know, so it's 50-50.
Yeah, okay. We are looking at discipline issues here. If we begin to talk about the health consequences and all of that, we won't live here, okay? So we're talking about discipline issues. Now, Angela, true or false? Before we round up, true or false? Giving your child your
Please
phone.
repeat the question again. Let me know if I'm on the phone.
I believe letting your children borrow your phone instead of buying phones for them could really help curb addiction. This from a community member.
Honestly, it's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, it's still
50,
exposure
50,
to
Tony.
a
Okay,
device.
go ahead and let us know why it's 50-50.
You being an adult means you might have some content on your phone that your child is not supposed to be exposed to. And in the moment where you have the phone, you're not even realizing that you've given them access to something that they're not supposed to have access to. So really and truly, there is that, honestly. But sometimes when I think about this social media, phenomenon that we're talking about and the screen time dependency, I ask myself if it would have been feasible if we had been taught some kind of regulation before we came into the age of social media, because I feel like it just kind of
Technology
it
never
just kind of
prepares you because it's commercial, it's money making,
Exactly. So it feels like we're not ready. And, even those of us who are exposed to certain things, like we're still trying to catch up and we're still trying to regulate ourselves and, remove that dependency that we now have on our devices. So that makes it so much harder when you're now a parent trying to regulate how your children use devices and how much time they spend using screens. But thankfully, we have people like yourself who are putting literature out there, to help teach parents how to become more emotionally aware when they realize their children have developed certain dependencies, when it comes to social media or gadget time. And I think first and foremost, parents could really do with asking themselves a very salient question. What is exposure to this device doing to my child emotionally? Because I think we all realize once a child's emotions are skewed to a certain degree, it tends to affect every other thing that is happening in and around that child's
any individual. It's
life.
not just a child.
So
it's not just children. Any individual.
exactly. But since we're talking about children, because
Okay.
I can talk about, my own struggles as well with exposure
Yeah.
to screen time and whatnot. And it's also important as a parent, like I said, it's not a parental failure that we're trying to highlight. We're trying to highlight the gaps that now exist that parents are equally trying to adjust to. So while you're trying to adjust, become the model that you would like your child to emulate.
Exactly.
And I say this, for instance, because of the example you gave earlier on with your child. So if you tell your children no screen time after 10 p.m., they shouldn't see you on your screen past the hour of 10.
No, if they see you, but no, let's put a caveat to that, okay? Now, you need to, okay, let's go back to me again. I do 90% of all my intellectual work at night. Not even on my phone, at night. While everybody is sleeping, I'm working, I'm writing, and brainstorming, and so you need to, everything comes down to having that conversation. Okay?
Absolutely. But can I quickly ask, how old is your son? How old is your son?
This guy now is a big man now. He's 27 now. He's going to 28 now. So it's no longer, we're talking, even now we still have some of those conversations, okay?
Very tired. Yes. So you see, now he's no longer a child, and you were able to have a fruitful conversation, back and forth. So he why you're doing what you're doing, and why he feels he should also have the right to do that as well. If I'm talking about a 10-year-old now, for example, what does a 10-year-old understand about the disadvantages of screen time after a certain hour? For them to effectively ask me certain questions, and I can communicate it to them in such a way that they understand that, okay, this is what I'm thinking about, the good, the bad, and the ugly, like I mentioned earlier on, when I'm saying no screen time past a certain hour. Like, yes, you have to communicate to your children at every stage and phase of their lives, but you also have to take into cognizance that their understanding of the bad that you're trying to communicate.
Can I ask you a question in that direction? Can I ask a question?
Sure.
We're still talking about this, my thing with my son, and I know he's not the only child like that, and I'm not the only father like myself. So, but then it's always like, if you read my books, actually, they're usually, dialogues and negotiation between my children and myself and all of that, or myself and my own, Now, in his own case,
but don't
no, I said I
your
want to ask a
ability
question.
to instill some kind of structure.
Just a moment. I said, hold on. I said, I want to ask you a question now. Now, just like he said, I also draw on my phone. You can't deny it. What if he also said to me, if that your child also said to you, Dad, you know what? Because I like the way you work, I also find it easier to draw at night. Now, let me tell you how we sorted. Yeah, I'm telling you real life issues here. This is a man now, a full-grown man now.
You see why I say?
No, wait, let's tell you.
Your son is quite crafty.
Let's get to the bottom of it. And I said, okay, tomorrow morning, tomorrow morning, I will show you the manuscripts, how far I have gone into the manuscript of the new book or play or whatever that I'm working on. So let's agree that you would also, no, I will let you use your device. Good.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, you will also show me that picture you have finished or how far you have gone with the picture. You say that comparison died a natural death. Do you understand?
Negotiation.
It's still negotiation. So you don't force it. You don't go, I am your dad because I told you, or I'm your mom because I told. In the morning, I will show, okay, Didi, yeah, dad, come over, see what I wrote last night. Okay, can you show me the picture? Dad, I slept off. Okay, before you slept off, and through you slept off. You slept off, the phone is on his hand on the bed, sleeping, because I'll go and check. Okay? So these things are not phantom, they're not, mirage or just dreams we come up with in these discussions. As we are here, some parents who are watching us are laughing their heads off, maybe their own, negotiations with their children and all of that. They are real. Okay? Find ways. Again, our children, and by the grace of God, all of us, our parents wish that we are better than they were. Okay? In the same way, we too are happy that our children know more or better than we. But they have to know the right things. There is knowledge and there's knowledge, okay? When you share positive results from, Tony said the good, the bad, the ugly. If he ends up finishing a drawing overnight, of course, I will clap for him the following morning. Wow. And that happens a number of times, really. Okay? I will say, wow, what way to go? But then you still have to sleep. Can you see that this morning, first of all, you are not ready to go to school on time because you didn't sleep early? Or even if it's weekend, can you see you are tired? You couldn't get to do this. You still need to sleep. Yes, I love to work at night, but that has taken years for me to get used to that. It has become part of me. It doesn't mean it can work for you as well.
Precisely.
Okay? Then I'll go into sharing the reason or reasons for which I started working in the night. The circumstances are not the same. And they will now say, oh, okay, daddy. Yeah. But if you do not have a communication relationship with your children, you can't do any of this. If you build a home,
that's very true.
This is what I say, it is because I'm your father or your mother that this, I paid the rent or I built this house. For all you care, you can own even that state and country. Okay? Remember, your children did not write application to get born in your family. You and your partner got together and say it would be nice for us to have a child. Like God said, it would be nice for us to create man in our image. So you and your partner got together and say it would be nice to have a child, maybe then children, maybe. So you have a responsibility. You are the mirror that they are seeing, their own reflection, to build their own reflection over time. Okay? So I want to thank both of you, Tony, Angela. It's been a very, very, exciting session of back and forth, and I really enjoyed this. I look forward to having you ladies join me again the same time next Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US and Canada, and 7 p.m. West Africa time, including Nigeria. I thank you for your time, Tony. I know just will still be cool this time, if not cold, really, but it wouldn't be like here. And I know Abuja is humid, Angela, so drink a lot of water, okay? And then let's do it again next week. And family, slow parenting family from across the globe, thank you. We are back for season 9. We're going to continue with the second part of this episode on device addiction, okay? And let me give you an idea of what we're going to be discussing. Scientists have found out that children are actually not getting wiser because of devices in terms of cognition now, right? Cognitive knowledge now, okay? And we are going to interrogate that research and then also again then suggest to parents certain strategies they can use. Because again, use of devices is integrated into educational curriculum. Now, Tony said it at the beginning. Angela too mentioned it. Schools, you must now buy laptop or buy tablet, even for your nursery school children. Okay, yeah, to do homework. And everybody's gotten lazy. Device send you your homework, or you send it to me too. It's easier and all of that. But like we said, it's not everything you have money to buy. You must buy, including technology. So we're going to integrate that next episode and also let you into some strategies you could use to control that, even when it's for educational purposes. So it will come your way again. Thank you so very much. See you next week, the next episode. Bye-bye. Thank you, Toyin. Thank you, Angela. Bye.
There we go.